welcome back. We're here tonight with Matthew Bennett from DPART. That's the Des Moines Paranormal. Help me out here, Matt.
Activity Research. Des Moines
Thank you.
Paranormal Activity Research Team. It's a mouthful.
So, I take it you're based out of Des Moines, Iowa.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
We've
And
we've been we've been going now for about 10 years.
oh, pretty good. Pretty good. We've been going on this for right around 2. So we were doing other things, but decided to go with the paranormal stuff. So I'm going to ask you pretty much my opening question that I'd ask everybody that we try to interview, and it kind of lets you get the chance to let people know about you and your organization. So, what got you interested and started in the paranormal?
Well, that's an interesting question, and my answer is a little bit more off the wall than the average person. Normally, they had an experience which kind of drew them in, or you know, that kind of thing. Mine started at a really early age. Um, when I was, 5, 6 years old, I can remember laying in bed being just deathly afraid of dying. I mean, I would imagine I would have thoughts that weren't, like a normal 5 or 6 year old. I could envision, what it would. I know these are morbid thoughts, but this is what really this is what really fueled me. My fear of death, wanting to know that there was something more when we passed. It's more of a transition as opposed to an ending.
Totally relate to those fears.
So I would, huh?
I can totally relate to those fears. I had the same ones when I was a kid.
So good. That makes me feel like I wasn't alone because I don't know
No,
many
you
five
weren't
or
alone.
six year olds that that had thought after what it was like to be buried in a coffin 6 feet underground, and just the nothingness. And the nothingness was what really scared me. It wasn't the fact of dying; it was the fact that we would go into, if it were true, we would go into just a total nothingness, and I couldn't wrap my head around it.
Yeah, you can't wrap your
Right.
head around that. Game over. It's done. There's nothing left. Yeah, I get it. I totally
And
get
so
that.
that's kind of what really fueled me. And then, growing up in a Christian home, mom really didn't let me explore that option a lot as a kid. So I kind of had to sneak books here and there where I can and get information. Back in the 80s, we didn't have the internet like like we do nowadays. You actually had to physically go to a
No,
library and pick up a book. So,
no.
looking at stuff as I could, studying where I can. Then when I got out on my own, I dove into it kind of head first, and I've been doing it ever since.
Yeah, get that mic up under you there,
Yeah,
buddy.
I'll get it. I was still sharing the links when I made my comments.
We're always having problems with him. He can't seem to get that mic
That's live
correct.
radio, though. You gotta love it.
Yeah, well, we all have problems once in a while. So,
That's part of the
So,
adventure of live radio, man.
yep.
I also I
I'm
also
sorry. I'm
pod I also
just.
run a podcast on Beyond the Sky. Or I'm sorry, Beyond. Well, I just about combined the two networks there. Sky Door Network. We have introspection on Thursday evenings. Usually, we've been kind of taking a hiatus from the show here lately with however crazy everything has been in real life. But
Oh
normally we
yeah.
broadcast on Thursday nights.
All right. All right.
So
So, when you go out and do your investigations, what kind of equipment do you wind up using?
and that's kind of evolved. Actually, we used to try to take as much equipment as we could with this, and that really actually depends on whether or not we're going out to do a residential or if we're going out to do a like a public location like
Hmm.
Ashmore or Villisca or something like that. We have a tendency to bring more equipment with us on the public investigations, and on the privates we don't take nearly as much. I'll take my phone, my tablet, and my speaker for maybe a thermal, maybe a millimeter.
Okay.
Other than that, I use my phone for the digital recordings, and we have a couple of ITC apps. I know they're controversial, but I've got some. I know Aaron from Ghost Crier. I don't know if you know who he is.
I don't think so.
No, I don't
He's a
really
real good friend
watch
of mine, and he's I picked his brain about the different apps.
Okay.
They're a team based out of Iowa here. I think he's based out. They're based out of Iowa, aren't they, Sean? Illinois? Are they based out of Illinois? I know it's somewhere here in the Midwest. Sorry, I got my partner in crime, another teammate, Sean over here with me tonight.
Yeah, that's fine.
So yeah, no, that's all we bring. When we're doing private houses, it's not about trying to capture as much evidence or data as possible. It's trying to get in there, recreate some of the stuff they're experiencing. It all depends. If they want recreations, we try to recreate stuff. If they want ultimately dealt with, then we don't do a lot of investigating. We'll do the digging on the history of the house, the history of the family, that kind of investigating. But as far as your actual traditional investigating, we don't do a lot of it. We focus a lot on removal and aftercare.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that happening. We've done a couple of private home investigations and got some interesting results.
That's
So,
that's primarily what we do. That's what we started out doing was residentials.
okay. So do you do any EVPs when you're out and about?
We do. We'll do. When we get on site, whether it be residential or commercial, public, we always immediately from the second we set foot on site, we usually have at least some sort of a digital recorder going. So
Okay.
we'll always have the EVP aspect of things going, but then we'll sit down and maybe do an hour or whatever ITC session. We just kind of let it go by ear and how the location just kind of draws and pulls you into doing different stuff. We kind of just kind of go with the flow. We're more fluid like that.
I can see that working. So what's your most interesting investigation you've done?
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and classify that into two answers. Public, we just went and then I actually had an opportunity. Sean helped send me down there. I went down to Old South Pittsburgh Hospital with another group here in Iowa, and boy, let me tell you, that was some interesting personal experiences. Saw some things down there I have never seen before in 10 years. I don't know if you guys have
Cool.
ever been there or not.
No,
So that
we haven't been out of Wisconsin doing our investigations. So
as of
sorry.
yet,
Yeah, you guys ever get a chance to go down to Tennessee? I would highly recommend it. The volunteers that run it there are great. The location is amazing. It's a really good place. You ever venture out of state, I would recommend it.
Oh, we definitely plan on venturing out of state at some point, but right now with the COVID, it's kind of hard to. But
It is. It
yeah,
is.
but currently we've been doing some stuff here in the state, and then because of the COVID and all the lockdown and stuff that's been happening, Joe and I decided to start interviewing people who are still out and doing some of this stuff
or
that have a better means of doing it. So
even if they're not getting out, we've had a few that have pretty much stayed put throughout the COVID thing too. But
yeah,
um, yeah, we decided just to start interviewing other paranormal researchers from around the world. Just to make it
Well,
interesting. I mean, we started the podcast back in 2017, changed our format last year in March. So this will be the
this will be
third,
our second year coming up in March.
nice.
but this is the second season of videos
Yeah,
and shows. So we'll be starting the third season in March.
yeah, third
It's so
season we're
much
starting
nicer
with.
to have video with along with your podcast. We didn't have that option until we moved over to Skydor Network. And I tell you
Yeah.
what, it's just it keeps the viewers so much more engaged.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, yeah, and one of the things I like about doing it this way too, we have comments on the side here, and anybody that's watching on Facebook and YouTube can actually make
Yeah,
comments and
because
ask questions as
we're
well.
streaming
So
to two pages on Facebook and YouTube channel all at the same time right now.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yes. So
yep.
we're
So
live in three different places, plus all the groups that I shared it to. And yeah, we keep it going.
Very cool.
We get out. We did our last investigation on Halloween, but we can't talk about that one too much yet.
We could talk a smidge, but we can't show anything. But that was
Well, and I'd
a
like to make
TV
I'd like to go back to the point. Oh,
Go ahead.
I would like to go back to the point Joe made here just a few minutes ago. About people not getting out and just kind of doing their thing where they are. People don't realize that spirit is everywhere always.
Oh yeah.
You really don't have to be out in the location to get results.
Yep.
I know it's kind of a taboo to investigate your own place, but you can you can go a block away down to the park,
Well, I've
and
seen
and pull
UFOs
out
out
your
my
equipment
backyard.
and
Yeah.
well, no, there you go.
I mean, it's not
You ain't
that.
got to venture too far from home to find what you're looking for.
No.
Not always. No.
Well, I got a cemetery right across the street from me,
And we did an investigation.
and
in
we
that
did go in that
cemetery.
cemetery and do a short investigation in there. So is the spirit part of the paranormal the only thing that you and your group actually look into, or do you look into like the cryptids
we
and UFOs or anything?
UFOs and all that other stuff, or
we focus mainly on the spirit research side of things. We really don't dabble too much in the cryptozoology. Doesn't mean I'm not interested in it. Just means I haven't had the opportunity and the means to really go out and do stuff like that. I'm fascinated by it. I sit on the Van Meter, Iowa. The Van Meter Visitor. Have you guys ever heard of the Van
I've
Meter
heard.
Visitor attack?
Yes, I've heard about it because Chad Lewis has written a book on that. I don't
I
know
know
if you know him.
Chad's a great guy.
Chad,
Actually, I see him every
Chad
year at the
Lewis.
Van Meter Visitor Festival. We
Yes, he
sit on the
hosts that.
committee. We sit on the committee out there together. Yep.
Yep, I've
Cool.
had a chance to meet him and talk to him briefly on one of his book signing kind of what do you call it, where he sits there and he tells you some of the stories of the area he's sitting in, and he was over by Racine in Lake Michigan, so it was very
Chad, Noah,
interesting.
and Kevin. All three of them are awesome.
I haven't got a chance to meet Kevin yet.
Oh, he's a character. He's a character. I love Kevin. He's fun. They're all great guys out there, and so I would like to be able to get into a little bit more of the cryptids. I kind of firmly believe in that the cryptids kind of go along. Hold on, I got a phone call coming in here, and I'm gonna. Oh,
I see
I firmly
you must
believe
be on
that
your phone.
the. I'm sorry, the call came through. I apologize.
No, that's
Yeah,
all
I
right.
apologize. Yeah, I'm on my phone
It
tonight.
happens, man. Happens.
I firmly believe like stuff like Bigfoot. I wonder if it's not more interdimensional as opposed to cryptid.
We've talked about that
We've
before too.
That's one of my theories. That's one of my
his
theories about
favorite
Bigfoot.
theories. Yep.
That it's actually an interdimensional creature, and it is actually very intelligent.
And that
That's why you
explains
don't
why
find
Yeah,
no
no,
anything.
DNA,
That's
no
why you don't
scat.
find anybody's or anything like that. Uh, Funny that you mentioned Bigfoot. I have a person that I deliver to that likes talking to me about all this stuff because he's interested in the paranormal. And he told me of an audio that he found on YouTube back when Mount St. Helens blew up. Remember that?
Yep.
That in Washington State. He said that there was an audio on YouTube, and if you look into YouTube, you should be able to find it. There's like an ex-military guy, army guy, said that they were dispatched to help with the cleanup around there, and that they had found several Bigfoot bodies, and some of them were still alive. And
Really?
and that they helped nurse them back to health.
Wow.
That's what he said that the guy was talking about, and I still haven't found it on YouTube yet. I still want to find it. So
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Oh,
I,
very much would
as
be.
far as the UFOs go, I still it's one of those things where I firmly believe that it's all kind of encompassing. If you're in the spirit research side of things, then you're going to run across aliens in your cases. You're going to run across interdimensional beings. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're probably not going to run across too many other cryptids as far as that goes, but I firmly believe they're all three of the quote unquote branches, as I use air quotes there.
Right.
They're all intertwined. They're all, maybe one come from the same source. I don't know, lots of theories, but I firmly believe that they're all intertwined.
Yeah, there's lots. I mean, that's what makes the paranormal world so interesting, because there are so many theories about, like you said, the three different branches of the paranormal realm. You know, and that's what makes it so interesting. Plus, I like when you're like in the spirit realm and you're sitting there looking into the houses or the old um, buildings or jails or whatever, you find a lot of history. You learn a lot of history about that location or the area, which is really cool when you're doing
Yep.
your research, if you do it
Definitely.
right. You know, some people skip the research that I've met, but we don't do that.
Sometimes it depends on the situation. Sometimes we'll go into the location primarily cold to see what our mediums pick up, but then we'll
Well,
go back through and then do the research and see if we can't find any correlating aspects.
well, that would make sense. I could understand why it's done that, why you would do it that way. I mean, you don't want
Mm-hmm.
to give them any. I mean, in a way, it's kind of like testing the medium too, you know, because if they get it without any research and then you find out that you can confirm what they say, you know, makes for a valid point.
Well, we had a case here in southern Iowa that we ended up working for close to 8 months. It was a nasty one, and it ended up turning out, once we got our hands on the house, what's the word, the abstract. It was one of the most complete abstracts I've ever seen. And I'm sitting there reading through this thing, and there was an aunt, there was some gal that was a relation to the people that we were there to help, who, she didn't live in Iowa though, but she was basically reading off verbatim what was going on in the abstract, as far as the old landowner, you know, and other things, and things just started clicking, and it never ceases to amaze me, some of the things that you experience in this field.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting how sometimes you'll run across residual energies that just sit there and do the exact same thing over and over again. And then you'll also run across the intelligent energies which will actually interact with you.
Now, because you're in
We
Iowa,
were,
I got a question
yeah.
for you. Just this is a little off topic in a way, but I kind of asked this of anybody that's been around or in that general area of Iowa. You ever been to the spot where the day the music died, the
That's
plane
Storm
crash,
Lake,
the plane
and
crash,
I've been up to. We've never
plane?
actually been out to the plane crash site. It's the site itself. No,
Not yet, huh?
we've been
That's
up to
on my
Storm Lake
bucket
several
list.
times. Matter of fact, I know a good
Oh,
friend of mine's that run a group out of Storm Lake, Raven
all
Rose
right, now,
Paranormal.
all right.
Hmm, cool.
What's the story about Storm Lake?
Storm Lake is the town that where the I can't remember the name of the ballroom now. What's the name of the ballroom where they played? Lynn, do you remember?
Oh, that's where they took off from.
Yeah, they took off from Clear Lake.
Okay.
Just a
Uh,
little. It was just a little farm airport. It's just a grass runway type deal.
Right, they
oh
took
wow.
off out of there and they were going to head over to Moorhead.
Yep.
I,
And
yeah,
then the
they were
plane, then
headed
the
to Moorhead and
plane's
the
ice,
plane.
then the plane's wings iced, and they went down.
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
And
Yep. Nope.
so,
We've never been fortunate enough to get out there yet. It's on the list.
Yeah. So what's the
yeah,
most
that's on
famous
our
place in
list too.
Iowa that you've been to?
Well,
Something that
we
we
were
might
actually
know of.
fortunate enough to. We were actually fortunate enough to, and this is a location you can't get into anymore. Matter of fact, they just got done tearing it down a couple months ago. You guys ever heard of the Klondike Hotel in Manila, Iowa?
I think
Sounds
I've ran
familiar.
across. Yeah, I think I've ran across a little something about it.
It was an old 1800s hotel. Manila is just a little podunk northwestern Iowa. Not more than 700 people live there, and we were fortunate enough to be able to uh, take over the school there for a year and run the Manila schoolhouse for a year, almost exactly to the month. We lost it in October. The last went through. When did Raven Rose go through? October, middle of October, about middle of October, I think. So yeah, then they were officially the last group to go through the school before things went south with the current owners, and they didn't let us be there anymore.
Oh, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, that does suck.
Yeah, but it was so cool being able to, normally as a paranormal team, you're going out to all the different locations, and it was really neat and interesting perspective to actually sit back in one location and actually have the teams come to you and see the different interactions that the building has with each individual team. It was never. I can promise you this: there was never the same interactions.
Yeah.
Every group was different.
I like actually talking with different groups and individuals because they always have
Yes.
a different perspective on how things how to investigate. You know,
Well, and that's
and
what we wanted
when
to do with the schoolhouse is turn it into a paranormal learning center eventually, but that didn't happen. But that's what
uh,
we wanted to do with it.
yeah, that actually be pretty cool to do too because
Interesting. That's an
you get a
interesting
different
idea.
perspective. Everybody has their own way and their own style,
Hmm.
and some of them actually it works really well, and some of it is kind of I would do it a different way kind of thing. That's why I've really enjoyed doing these interviews with all
Well,
the different people and stuff because
that and the one crossover we did
yes,
on Halloween
the
was
Halloween one, the
actually a learning
crossover we did on
experience for
Halloween,
us.
I enjoyed that really very much. So
Yeah, we
that
picked
was
up a few tips from that one.
yes, we did.
But,
And again,
also, you tend to
unfortunately, we
learn.
really can't talk about it.
Yeah, but you still tend to
So
learn where you have those moments where it's like, damn it, why didn't I have a camera with me at that time? So you learn, okay, next time I go to a place like this, maybe I should be wearing a body cam or something.
I'll
Because
do you one better.
we got no
We
evidence
were
of
having
something that happened, but it happened, and there was two of us walking down the hallway when it happened. Me and one other guy, Mr. Tom Klein here. It was the two of us walking down this hallway when something happened to us, and it's like, why couldn't we have evidence or a camera with us? You know?
I'll do you one better. We were having our depart Christmas party out at the school that December, and we were doing a we were doing the investigation side of things, and so we were up in room 202 on the second floor,
okay,
and we were getting ready. We were kind of doing some connect stuff up there, SLS, and we were all getting kind of cold because the building didn't have any heat. So we were figuring we were going to go back to base and warm up a little bit. Before we did, I had a thought that we need to switch the camera to a different direction, facing a different direction before we left. And so I faced it that way. We're getting everything set up. I had one of our other teammates go around and in front of the camera to make sure that everything was lined up right. And no sooner than Paul stepped in front of the camera than here comes two little stick figures, half his size. They went up to about his waist. They were there for over 2 minutes, guys.
Wow.
We had the Connect capturing it. We had a phone capturing the screen, and we had a video camera, a camcorder capturing the whole thing. And all three recordings disappeared simultaneously. It disappeared from the Connect, it disappeared from the phone, and it disappeared from the camcorder. When we went back to base to try to analyze stuff and look at it, they were all gone.
Boy, does that sound familiar
yeah,
to
it
you?
does. Oh, very much does.
I that's not the first time we've actually heard that, but we've had something similar to that happen to us too. We were out.
Yeah,
at this Asylum State Park here in that's Lake Mills, I
That
think
yeah,
it
that's
is.
right outside of Lake Mills.
And we had some really heavy activity on the EMF meter, and we set it down on the step, which is
And I was
basically
recording it.
part of an Indian burial mound. Put it down on the step, and it was still going nuts. We get back here, and the SD card was corrupted. No
Yeah,
footage from there at
brand new
all.
SD card, brand new
Yep.
cameras too.
Yeah, the cameras were like it was like only the
And
second time we've used
and
them.
the we were using, it was his camera, and I had my battery from my camera. We both got cameras identical, so we could interchange batteries, make it easier on us. And we were using his camera, brand new SD card in it. We got hits on that EMF. I was recording the whole thing. That was the only significant thing we caught that day. He goes to download it off the from the camera to the computer, and it would not even recognize it. It wouldn't even.
Oh
It
wow.
just it is a total corrupt file on there, so we couldn't even get that proof
Yeah,
off of there.
yeah. I tried many different ways to try to get that off.
We tried plugging the camera into the computer so it would show it that way. Nope,
Oh,
wouldn't
oh.
do it. Pulled
Camera wouldn't even
the
play it
SD
back.
card out and put it in a reader. Nope, wouldn't do it.
Wouldn't do it.
Actually, I think we put it in two different readers,
Yeah, yeah,
and
we
it
did
still
because
would not read it.
you brought yours out here that day too when we were
Yeah,
having
actually, I
problems.
did. I had
But we don't give up easily either when things like that happen. So
I
we
have
were
this
really
little guy
trying to
We've
right
get
even.
here.
footage.
It's a multi card reader, so I can
Oh,
read the
nice.
micros, I can read the standards, I can read pretty much any kind of
Yeah, but you didn't have
card there
that then.
is.
You brought the dock
No,
station out.
I had this. No, I had this.
Did you?
Yes.
Well, because we've also got those docking stations too
Yeah, I know.
that have those on them.
We even had a brand new laptop not blow up, but go completely to the point where she had to factory reset it, and we lost
Oh
everything on it.
shit!
Oh, that's
Brand
nuts.
new, brand new computer. I swear to God, we had the
Wow.
SD, the SD, the SD, the one that Huff had come out with not a long while back. It was one of the first ITC computer apps that was done. The SD one, I can't SD something. I can't remember exactly what it's called now. But we were using that on a private case, and we didn't have internet, so we were using the phonics side of stuff. And when you listen to this thing, you just got the feeling in your pit of your stomach that it was stuff that you weren't supposed to be listening to.
Right.
And then when we went back through it again for a second run, that's when the computer crashed, and we had to completely do a hard reset. And we lost all the data that was on it.
Well, that sucks, man. That really sucks. That's one of the reasons that I try to make sure that we have more than one camera going now, and also we have two voice recorders. I want to try and make sure we always have at least one or both of the voice recorders going, so that way, because the cameras pick up the sound, the voice recorders pick up the sound, the recorders actually pick up the sound a lot better than the cameras do. But you still can
Right. But
correlate.
just
You can still correlate that way too. So
Yeah, and I got things that go. When we put things on the computer, just in case our computer gets toast, I got a independent external hard drive just for that. So everything goes to separate hard drives as well.
yeah, we have
it
multiples.
and it's good to have that
Backup.
all that backup. But I'm telling you, it's happened to me more times than I care to count over the last decade. If they really want that evidence or data gone, it don't matter how many devices you got it on. It's gonna get gone.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
believe it. I mean, it's just a strange world.
Well, you got to figure. Sometimes you're out there capturing shit that. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cuss. Sorry,
no,
stuff.
that's all right. We've said worse.
It's okay. I didn't know the format. When you're
No,
when you're
it's
capturing stuff
Facebook,
and
so
We don't censor this.
yeah, okay, Thunderdome. Okay, I got it. um, and I don't know how. I lost my thought. My thought's gone now. I got distracted.
oops. I, I guess it's
Yeah,
a
it's
thing
not
I
a.
have. I do that to him all the time. he'll start saying something, and I'll interrupt him, and he'll wind up just his train just derails
Brain
completely.
part. Brain part.
So I apologize if it was my fault.
No, I do that to myself. I do it to myself a lot. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad, Joe. At least yours is coming from an external source. I do it to myself. Uh,
I've
So
done that
how
though.
many people are in your team, by the way, Matt?
we've got our core three that go out on most of the private cases, but then I've got my older. All my kids are pretty much grown now. So, and they've all been a part of the team at one time or another. So anytime they want to come out and do stuff with us, so we've got the family, and then we've got a couple people up north. So I would say all together probably less than 10 now, with about three or four full timers that go out on every case.
Okay. Yeah. We've got pretty much five, maybe six people total. So we got
And then I got colleagues that
Joe and his wife, me and my girlfriend and my daughter does go with us. She went with us on the Halloween
That's only
investigation.
5.
Well, we got an occasional one person that can be slid in there, but my daughter's husband, he'll come
Oh,
along every now and then if we give him
and then
if we give him a chance to.
what I can't pick up on, then I'll outsource then from other people that I know who are got a little bit better connection to spirit than I do.
Right.
And not afraid to ask for help when needed. Got a good network under us. That's what
Yeah.
it really all about.
So, what's the furthest you've actually traveled to go to a place?
I would have to say actually at this point that would be old South Pittsburgh right now.
Okay.
That was a 13-hour trip from Iowa.
Oh yeah, I know about them. I used to work for a
Um,
company where we were an expedited freight company, so we covered all of the lower 48 states. And I've been all the way. I actually took a straight truck downtown Manhattan, New York, to make a
I've been out to
delivery.
New York. I wasn't out there as part of the a paranormal thing, but I had a chance to. I used to do some volunteer work for Save the Children Action Network. They're the early education branch of Save the Children,
Right.
and they sent me out to Washington D.C. 2 years in a row, which is where I had the distinct pleasure of staying at Gallaudet College. Are you guys familiar with that college in Washington D.C.?
No,
It's a very
I
interesting
sorry,
college. It's
haven't.
the only college in the United States that's got hearing impaired from kindergarten all the way up to college.
Wow,
So it's a
that's
hearing impaired campus, but the land was the Gaudets right after the war.
okay.
So it's a really old college too.
You might have to repeat that because you kind of froze there for a second, and I think we lost part of the
Oh,
audio.
sorry. The family donated the land to the college. The family was I'm sorry. The land was donated to the Gallaudets, or vice versa. I can't remember exactly how it went, but I know the land for the college was donated shortly after the Civil War.
Okay.
So it's that old of a college. Did have an
so
experience out there. I woke up one morning with a woman standing at the foot of my bed. Looked just as real
Interesting.
as I'm sitting here looking at you two now.
I've had some strange experiences like that, but it wasn't a woman, and it wasn't human.
you know, I
Yeah,
was looking.
those
I
are
did a
icky.
little. I did a little quick research here, and it's
Um,
looking
Speak
like I'm
up,
gonna
Joe.
have. I said I did a little quick research here, and it's looking like we're gonna have to take a closer look at Iowa. I mean, I'm on this Travel Iowa, and it's got the 13 most haunted places. One of them I'm curious about because that looks like a tourist attraction to me.
I don't like those. The ones that,
I
that
can tell
are
you,
more like a tourist attraction, I don't even want to try to go
I
there.
can tell you the good places to go to here in Iowa.
Well, this place is something about the axe murder house.
That's Villisca. That's the one location when everybody hears Iowa they think of. That's the one where
It
where
looks
the
like a tourist
family of
attraction. They got a
there's
big old
activity that
sign
goes
out
on
front.
there.
They got a big old sign out front. You know, it looks like a tourist attraction because there's a picture of it. You know, it's it's
There is
interesting.
legitimate activity that goes on there. I've known a lot of people that have done overnights there. We have not had the pleasure of doing an overnight there yet. We haven't had the money. It is one of the more expensive sites in Iowa.
See that I wouldn't do either.
Um,
I wouldn't pay to tour a site either.
yep, that's here. That's was we did do the daytime tour there. We got some activity during the daytime,
I wouldn't pay. I
but
wouldn't.
I would have to say hands down one of my favorite places to go to, and it's a town. It's in Sean's hometown, Malvern Manor.
Yeah.
That's a
Mount.
good location.
You said Mount Vernier,
Edinburgh. No, uh, Edinburgh Manor.
Edinburgh
No,
Manor.
I'm sorry, that's
Okay.
Edinburgh. Gee, my lord, Malvern. Oh my lord, Malvern Manor. Edinburgh is up in
Malvern.
Scottsdale. Malvern Manor is Malvern. Yes, Malvern is
There's
down in the southwestern part of the state.
There's
okay.
Edinburgh.
That's Edinburgh. Yep, that's Edinburgh Manor. That used to be an old county poorhouse.
Yeah, in the 1800s.
Yep, been there several times.
Really?
Yep, it's an amazing location.
Yeah, it
Did you
looks like they've got some
get
cool
much
spots in
activity
there.
there?
Actually, yes. The last time we went it's been like 4 or 5 years ago now, but the dolls moved on their own, and we had like
I
and
love that.
we had like six different things thrown at us, and every time we'd find what was thrown, we'd hit it. We'd check it with the thermal camera, and it had a heat signature to it, like
Oh,
someone had been holding it in their hands for 20 minutes before they threw it.
Oh,
so there was heat transfer,
Yeah,
energy
heat
transfer.
transfer.
Yeah.
Yeah, energy. You would it kind of it kind of stands to reason because if it's an energy transfer to make sure they're going to be using object manipulation anyway,
Hmm.
it would stand to reason that object would be warm because of the energy transfer.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, we had stuff like that happen with us over the last weekend.
I would have to
Um,
say, as far as the best object manipulation I've ever seen, that would be the Farrar Schoolhouse. It's just 20 minutes away from where I
that
live here
that
in
that
central
was on
Iowa.
that list too. What was that like? What's the story behind that? I didn't read the story. I was just kind of looking to see, and then just skimming through. But that was on that list.
Well,
That schoolhouse.
with the we have a lot of these old what I call consolidation schoolhouses here in Iowa, and they're all three-story. Well, most of them are all three-story brick buildings that are just absolutely humongous, and they were built to consolidate all the one-room schoolhouses around the state, around the rural areas, to the more what was becoming more populated areas. And then
right. So
once
they're the
you know,
predecessors to the
as
modern
this
school system that we have now. Then.
right, and well, I hate to say it this way, but Iowa's lousy with them. There are the Des Moines alone has like 8 or 10 of these big consolidation schools here in town. Huh? They all do look the same. Um,
I think I've only
so
seen one
Farrar is
like
one of the
that around
ones
here.
where it stopped. They ran it all the way up until the late 19, I want to say late 90s. But then was one of those things where the school districts changed and they just built a bigger, better school building, and then just kind of stopped using Farrar. But Farrar's got everything: shadow play, object manipulation, disembodied voices.
So
it's got the gambit.
so with it being a schoolhouse like that, and you go in there and everything, do you take balls with you, like a bounce ball or like like baseball or anything like that? See if you get any activity
We
for those.
we don't you don't have to that's the cool thing about Ferrari. You don't have to bring them; they're already there. Like up in the third floor gymnasium, they've got a what looks to be like an old mic stand
Uh
that
huh.
fits a soccer ball perfectly. You can perch the soccer ball up on top of the mic stand and watch him knock it off.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
So how far is that place from like what is that? Butte? Is that where all the tracks are? Is that where that horse track is?
Dubuque is on the east side of the state, right? Yeah. So it's in the southern east part of the state down there by the Mississippi. So I would say probably 2 or 3 hours from where I am, and I'm only 20 minutes from Farrar.
Oh, that would be a hell of a drive.
So you're more towards the center of the state.
Yeah, center
Okay.
south center center south center south central. We're a little bit just below the middle of what would be considered the middle of the state, but we're pretty central. I can make it to Edinburgh Manor in 2 hours. I can pretty much make it to any location in Des Moines in less than 2.5 hours from Des Moines.
Cool.
Oh.
It's
That's
nice
pretty
being
cool.
centralized.
Yeah, actually,
Well, I've been to Iowa a few times, but never too far in. I've been to Dubuque, and then I've been down to the world's largest truck stop on Highway 80,
and that's just outside of Davenport.
and then I went down to Centerville, Iowa, which is down on the Missouri border almost. I think that's Missouri.
I don't know why they call it Centerville, Iowa. It's all the way down south. I've always found that rather
Right.
ironic.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I spent a couple of weeks
But
down there.
I think Davenport's part of the Quad Cities area down
Yep,
there, isn't it?
yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep, yep.
I hear that
What are the
that
Quad cities?
area.
Davenport,
Is
Dubuque.
it
I can't
Fremont?
remember
Is it
all
Fremont?
four of them.
I think
I want to say
Fremont,
Fremont's a little bit
Illinois is
further
part of it.
east or west. I mean,
Uh,
oh no, Fremont, Illinois. Okay, I'm sorry. We have a Fremont, Iowa too. You're right.
yeah,
Fremont, Illinois
Fremont,
would probably be
Illinois.
part
I
of it.
think
Yeah.
that's part of it. But yeah, I mean, you got two Illinois cities and you got two Iowa cities, and those are your
And the
Quad
Mississippi
cities
going
in
right
there,
through them both, right
and the
through both,
Mississippi
right
going through.
down the
Yeah,
middle of them.
and I've heard
And
that
then
there's a lot of activity in those quads down there because of the history of the area.
the history of the area, and then
So,
you also have to think, the Mississippi. Any water, any moving water source
dude, water
is
is
an
a
energy
hell of
source,
an energy source.
especially
So,
when it's that big of a body of water that's
oh
constantly
yeah,
Yep.
moving.
oh hell yeah.
Yeah,
Back in the 1800s, and there's a lot of people who don't realize this or even know this, but back in the 1800s, down in the southern end of Michigan, actually, right where Michigan, not Michigan, Missouri, or Missouri, and then you can see Tennessee across the Mississippi from it, in that little corner area
Yep.
down in there. They had it's been recorded that they had like 7 days straight where they wrote it down as 7 days straight that the earth shook. They had earthquakes down there. There's actually a fault line in that area. And during that time, it changed the course of the Mississippi three different times.
Really?
And yes, and there is a town in the center of the Mississippi because on the last time it changed the course of the Mississippi, it changed it to where it swallowed that town.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I found that and I read about that. It's like, holy crap, that's freaking cool as hell. But yeah, so I'm sure that area would probably have a lot of activity as well.
Want to know they're like Lee Elrich. He does a lot of underwater investigating. That would be a really
Really?
cool site to do what he does there. Yeah.
Oh hell yeah!
Managed to capture EVPs underwater too.
Really?
Wow,
Lee Elric,
underwater. That's
he's
pretty
a
cool.
Lee Elric is an interesting guy. He's I want to say he's based out of Illinois. Leo Rick. I know he's around the Illinois area because that's where he.
Well, if he does underwater
Remember he came.
investigations and stuff, then he might actually know about that town down there.
Yeah, actually no. Maybe he is from the Florida area. I'm not quite sure where he resides from. I feel bad. I should know that. But yeah, no, he focuses primarily on investigating underwater. It's kind of a neat little thing that variation that he does on it for sure.
No, that is pretty cool. And to catch EVPs under the water, that's even cooler. Because if you're
They've
catching
gotten
something like
they've got
that, then you know for a fact that there has to be paranormal, because there's no way you can actually talk underwater unless you're inside of a helmet.
right.
You have to have
They've even
you
captured
have
videos of mysterious lights underwater too.
Well, it's some people claim that's where they park some of the UFOs down there too. Who knows what you're picking
True.
up?
yeah.
Like I
Hard
said,
telling.
this paranormal world, you can come up with all kinds of theories.
Man, this
Yeah.
this world
The
is
fun part's
crazy.
trying to prove them.
Right?
That's
So
the
have
fun
you,
part.
in your investigations and everything, have you been able to debunk quite a bit, or do you ever find that it's hard to debunk something?
We've had our fair share of debunks. I mean, we always try to make sure that we can rule out everything that wouldn't be paranormal first, but then we're not afraid to make that jump after we've gone through the debunking process. We're not one of them groups that are, you know, run through a we do run through the rigorous debunk process, but we don't keep rerunning through it. Once we make sure that the first process we use is pretty thorough, that way we ain't got to double back over our tracks.
Okay, yeah, I was just kind of wondering. I'm kind of in our little group. I'm kind of my own worst
Critic.
skeptic critic.
Every team needs a skeptic, dude. Every team needs a skeptic,
And
in
I
my
will.
opinion.
I
It
I
kind of keeps
hate. I hate.
everybody else anchored.
Well,
Be, well, because of the stuff that I have experienced from the time I was young until now, and the things I have done in life and become jaded against, I actually want to make absolute certain that it can't be anything else before I even consider saying that it's some sort of paranormal.
most of the time, if we can't explain it, we just leave it up to you guys to figure it out.
Yeah, that too.
You know,
I really don't like to say that
Uh,
anything is haunted. I want I
yeah.
want to I want to give the evidence out there and let the viewer,
I think the fun part of the debunking is like when we
you know,
debunk other people's stuff, like the one YouTube video we debunked, and then the one we saw on TV that everybody thought was real that went viral, and then later the kids came out and said, "Oh yeah, we did this." It was at Irish school in Ireland or something. I don't know if you saw it. It was all over the paranormal. What was that one where it's like caught on camera? You know, the Osbournes just had it on the other day where it's the Osbournes believe, and they believed it. But it's like if you take a closer look, when the floor wet sign falls, you can see the string attached to it. If you take a closer look,
yeah.
or if you look at the other hallways and compare all the hallways in this school, everything's lined up just right, perfect, right? Except for one hallway where the lockers are right in front of a window. And if you look outside where that window sits, you can stand outside with that window open and sit there and push that locker like it was moving.
Yeah.
You know, there was, and they had better cameras because you could see the one better camera at a different angle, and they didn't use any footage from that camera up there.
Yeah, they
Somebody
had
placed the
the
cameras they
school
were
has
using.
the CCTVs
High
cameras
def
in them,
ones. Yeah.
and they use just like a standard video camera on a tripod to take all this video.
But
He
the
didn't
kids
have,
later
yeah.
admitted that it was a hoax after this thing
See,
all
and
went
stuff like
viral.
that.
After it all went viral. They were just trying to make a viral video on YouTube, you know. And I see why people want to do that. It's the easiest thing to try to make a hoax and make people believe. Makes me really skeptical of looking at a lot of the stuff I see. You
As
know,
about ready to say, and that makes our job. It makes our job 10 to 100 times harder
Oh hell
to be
yeah.
taken to be taken seriously.
right? Exactly.
Yeah, especially when these people do that and they hoax it and then try to make it look legit and then put it up as legit and it's like no.
If I wanted to, I could do that and do a hell of a lot better job than some of these kids did. But you can tell that that was pretty amateurish. But the funny thing is when you've got people like the Osbournes out there, and they believe it, they don't believe it's a hoax. Obviously, Jack didn't do his research enough to find out that it was
I was
proven a
gonna say,
hoax by
they're
experts.
they're rock stars and celebrities, not paranormal investigators.
And then it's all about this, and it's all about this too,
Yeah.
Yep.
For them it's
and
about
the
the money.
ratings, and the ratings.
Yep. So have you ever come across anything out there, Matt, whenever you're doing your investigations to where you can find that where you found that the people that were telling you that this was happening they were like hoaxing it or
Pulling your leg.
pulling your leg or anything like that?
We've had people not necessarily trying to pull one over on us. We've had people that have had, you know, issues with past drug abuse, and they're not actually seeing what they think they're seeing, due to that kind of stuff. We've
Yep.
had we've had people not be completely honest with us on some things. We've had spirits busting out meth users there on site.
Oh, jeez.
We've right across the damn spiritus. I swear to God, meth users and no tweakers. It came across tweakers, meth, and don't trust them.
Yeah, I don't. You know,
That's when I got up and I
I
could
got.
feel the energies anyway, empathically, so I knew what was going on. And then when we started getting that stuff come across ITC, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
it's time for me to pull the client aside here and have a serious discussion. And that's one of the things people don't realize when you're out there doing private residences is sometimes you have to be able to pull the client aside. And I hate using the word client. I just don't know what other term to use. The person you're there to work with, you have to pull them aside and be like, listen, y'all were just hearing what was coming across that, right? Yeah, there are no predetermined words in there, and I've never heard those words come out of that device. So,
Right.
are you actively using? And that's when you got to, it's all about trying to get to. And it turns out that case was there was the old person that used to live there didn't like the activities going on in the house. So anytime that they would use in the house, the
Yeah.
activity would spike.
Yeah.
That
Well,
makes sense.
sometimes like you said, you can't trust some of those. But I got a different point of view on some of those people because I've met some of these people that use some of those hardcore drugs in my past, and I would have to say, sorry, I can't help you, and walk away from it because I find them too dangerous to be around, you know. Now, if they're just smoking pot or something like that, well, then I'd have to wonder if they were hallucinating
Well,
or
and
something
and
because they were
I'm not
smoking
gonna
chronic
exactly.
shit. Yeah,
I'm gonna guess me and you, Joe, probably have a lot of things in common when it comes to our past. We've
but
lived a lot of life. We've seen a lot of things.
oh
I
yeah,
I
I've been through a
I've
nightmare
been down
asylum
that road. I've
or
been
hell in
down that road myself. I'm not there now, but I've been down that road. And if I feel compelled to help somebody, then I'll put my own, I'll have my team on standby, doing whatever. But I'm not going to ask them to put themselves into a dangerous situation like that. But I'll go in and see
No.
what I can do to help.
Yeah, it's just that I've only done one drug in my entire life besides the stuff that got prescribed to me. You know, and now I still do that because of what I went through. Okay, but that's a bit. You know, unfortunately, it's not legal here yet. But when it does get legal, it'll be even easier for me. Yeah, but
I
I
get you.
still
I,
don't.
I I'm picking
I
up what you're putting down.
I still do this because I enjoy it. I've been disabled since, let's see, when did I quit driving?
I don't remember.
98. Well, I
Bad
left
back,
Union.
right?
I went to, I left Union. So, no, I quit in 2001 because
No, I was
I was
asking if you
driving.
had a bad back.
No, I was diagnosed with cancer. I'll tell you about that in a
Okay.
minute. But we're about to end this anyways because it's getting that time.
It is.
But
I would love
just
to.
just
I
stick
would love to be
around.
able to come back on anytime you guys would like to have me on.
Just stick
Yeah,
around, and we can
that's
talk some more here
anytime.
off camera.
Well,
And
unfortunately, I've got to. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to. We've got to get back to. We've got to get back to work. I scheduled that you guys tonight and had my buddy of mine come in so we could do some Uber Eats driving to make a little bit of extra cash. And I thought we were supposed
Oh,
to come on at 7, so I kind of had a little bit of a mix up on my end. That's why I messaged you back 7 o'clock, right? And I didn't realize it was at 6. So
well,
no, we
I was just going to give you
we
a
get you.
quick background here for about 5 minutes, if you could spare it.
yeah, that's
Um,
fine. But I was
so
anytime you guys would like to have me come back on, I would love to have. I would love to be able to come back
great.
on and visit with you folks.
Yeah, we do this every Wednesday and Friday night at the same time, 6 p.m. Central Time.
Yep.
Um, and again, um, follow us on YouTube, subscribe, check all our links out at our website. And next Wednesday at 6 p.m., we will have Lon Strickler. You know, I know I can't think of where he's from right offhand, but I'll have the links out there Sunday.
That name sounds familiar.
And Matt,
He's
you
been
got
around the
anything you
paranormal
want to
world for quite a
throw out
while.
there for like a website or anything? I
Yeah.
know you said that one website was goofed up.
Before
So
we end,
People want to follow or look me up. They can look me up by my name, Matthew Bennett. I post a lot of my paranormal stuff on my personal page right now until we can get our website back up and running.
okay,
Or just look for us on Facebook under if you just type in. It's a long thing to type in, but you don't have to type in the long. You type in Des Moines Paranormal Activity, and it'll pop right up.
all
okay,
right. Now you also sitting there on YouTube yet?
We're not on YouTube yet. No.
Okay.
okay.
All right. Just find him on Facebook and follow him, and you'll see all his updates.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you so much
And
for having me on, guys. I appreciate
thank
it.
you for coming
No,
on.
thanks for coming on. I
And
enjoyed talking with you.
till Wednesday, everybody, stay safe.
Bye.